Live from JMT Studios, it's time for Two Jersey Kids, the best video game podcast on the planet.
What is up, y'all? This is episode 43 of Two Jersey Kids. I hope you beautiful Jersey kids out there are doing fantastic. I am the host of this video game podcast that is Two Jersey Kids, Adam Buckingham. That is my name. Alongside me is my best friend of all time, the best friend, best stick handler in the business, Gary Seisel. Happy birthday, Gary. It is your birthday today. How you doing today, Gary? I'm excited for you.
Well, first of all, thank you. I'm doing well. I got my monitor in today. It was actually my PC monitor. I got it from my parents as a birthday gift. It's pretty awesome. I also got a keyboard in from Gavin. He actually bought me. My sister and Gavin bought a keyboard for me for my birthday. So I'm doing pretty awesome. I'm pretty excited right now to get this whole thing up and running. Finally.
If you guys didn't know, there's been a going on, if you're new to the show, going on saga of whenever Gary is going to finally build his PC. It's been a few weeks now, and I think
this weekend.
I think the pieces and parts are finally coming together, it sounds like, so that's exciting. I'm excited because now you'll be able to participate in all the things Steam has to offer, and then you can join the PC Master Race, and then I'll never hear from you again on the PlayStation side, which will bring a tear to my eye.
Well, no, I'll always be playing PlayStation at some point, but I really just can't wait to get into this PC thing. It'll probably be this weekend because I have off Saturday and Sunday and a crazy turn of events. I did not think that was going to happen, but what luck! I get a PC and I can finally build it and get it up and running. See,
perfect timing is now. The Steam sale is going on just for your birthday, so now you can just go through and pick out ones that you can. You want to play. But I saw there was Civ 6 on there. There was City Skylines on there for $7. There you go, Gary.
Yep, and those are the games I was talking about playing first, coincidentally. So I'll definitely be taking a look at that. I know you actually, I think you tweeted at me that KOTOR was also on sale for $2. Of course, I'll be buying it.
Of course. So before we go into the news and stuff, we normally talk about what's going on with our lives. But before then, since we're talking about the Steam sale, I might as well give a rundown. Megan Frakarokamesh off to a great start on this podcast. From The Verge, wrote a brief synopsis of the ones that a lot of people would be interested, and I think it's a good breakdown. So you have Shadow of Mordor, Game of the Year Edition is only for $4. Gary, I mentioned to you constantly for PS4 where it's only $10, but here you go, it's even cheaper. 50% off what the sale was on PS4. Now you got $5. 80% off the usual price. Mafia 3, you can grab it for $14.79. There's a bunch of Final Fantasy games that are 50% off. So Allison out there, one of our longtime listeners, Allison Lodato, check out if you play on PC. If you have a garbage PC, maybe you can play the old pixel art ones. What are those again? 6 maybe? I don't know. I'm a Final Fantasy noob. You can get half off games like in the Call of Duty franchise, and you can grab Dishonored 2 for $20. Doom, which is a big one, Gary. I'm sure you probably checked that out. Doom has caught my eye constantly. It's only for $15. Nier Ultima for $42, and Prey for $39.59. Then you also have indie titles like Abzu, Transistor, and Hyper Light Drifter, which I enjoyed, which are $6, $3, and $10 respectively. I don't like to do that 99-cent bullshit. We all know what the real price is.
It's a marketing tool. You think It's less than it actually is.
That's why you see consoles all the time doing $49.99 or $399.99. What, fucking trying to play with our minds? How dare they? We're not puppets.
I don't really understand. I mean, I understand the sort of strategy behind that, but at the same time, I know it's $15. It's not fooling me. I don't know.
It may just I guess going up another digit on. So say if it's 40, I feel like it's a larger impact when it's a larger amount. So going from $49.99 to $500 is such a jump, psychologically. Just because you're going from that 4 mark to the 5 mark, even though when you get taxes, it hits 500. So, don't know. But yeah, now we went in the Steam sale. Did any of those pique your fancy, or do you have any ones that weren't mentioned here that I don't know if you looked at any today, because, you've been busy with your birthday, but,
I want to see Doom. I actually was looking at that before for PS4 a while back when I was going through a gaming drought of sorts, but I didn't pull the trigger. So I'll take a look at that. Shadow of Mordor, I am definitely going to consider. Trust me. For
Definitely
$4,
going to consider.
For $4, it's going to be very hard to say no. I kind of just want to just go for a lot of different games and just kind of just go for it and play it. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens. I got to take a look when I get my computer up. I'll look on Steam and see what's out there.
Yeah, you can do what a lot of people on Steam I hear all the time is they purchase a crap ton that are cheap and they never play them ever.
Yeah, that's a sad reality.
But then
I don't know. I like to focus on like certain games. Like I like to play through a game at a time. Like play like one game, then move on, and then move on. I don't like to play a bunch of games at the same time because I feel like you can't get the same experience. At least that's me personally. But I like to focus on one project at a time. Actually,
funny enough, this past week, I was playing the Surge. I finally beat that fucking boss. I think it's the last boss. I think it's Black Cerberus or something. It's kind of obtuse to figure out how to beat him. You have to like destroy. It's a long story, because you have to. No, I'm going to tell the story because you have to destroy these 2 cylinders that then allow or don't allow the main boss to call in reinforcements from a big machine to then so he can regenerate health. But you have to have the big machine shoot fucking large missiles at you and you have to dodge out of the way. I don't know how many times I cursed at the top of my fucking lungs because of that fucking boss. I got so angry, so much. And it was insane, though, because the time I beat him, I finally destroyed the 2 little pillars that, he can't call bigger robots anymore. So I finally got him to myself, 1-on-1, because he's not that difficult. The difficult part is that he goes and heals and then comes back, and then I have to fight this gigantic monstrosity all the time. But I finally got him 1-on-1, and it's kind of like one of those things where you have to be tactical, because if you hit him too many times up close and personal, he can actually just do a lot of damage and take you out pretty quickly. So I got kind of lucky where I ended up hitting him too many times, and I got smacked, and I was able to roll out of the way, which sometimes I get like... It feels like my character freezes and I get smacked again. So I was down to like a little health bar. I'm like showing Gary right now because this is an audio podcast, so you can't really see what I'm doing right now. But it's like just a tiny bit. So I was like, oh my god, this is so nerve-wracking because I'm backing up, dodging, slashing, dodging back. It was nuts. It was insane. It was so satisfying to get that final execution on him. Oh, man, I was so ecstatic. I yelled. I'm sure I scared my neighbors constantly. I'm sure I scared them when I was cursing and pounding the ground when I was upset. But, yeah, back to what I was saying originally. It was kind of funny because I got through that part, upgraded my suit and leveled up some more. Then I got to the next area. I think that it's leading to the final area, which I'm excited to finally beat the Surge. But I kept dying at this one, like, it wasn't even a boss. It was like a minuscule, like, normal robot that I've never been able to figure out how to beat, this type of, enemy, and it just frustrated me so much. I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm out. I'm done playing this right now. I need to take a break. And recently, since it was on sale for only, I think it's $10, I got Metal Gear Solid 5, which is apparently a lot of people's game of the year back when it was released. I forget what year it was. Was it last year, 2 years ago? Who knows? But I finally decided, I just got it, downloaded it just on a whim, and I started playing that. I've never played a Metal Gear Solid game, and all I have to say, the people that play it, is what the fuck are you guys playing? I'm so confused. It is so insane. I don't know if you saw my Twitter, stream of consciousness at the beginning of playing Metal Gear Solid 5. It was absolutely nuts what was happening. I was so confused. There's a woman assassin trying to kill you as you're like lying in a coma kind of type deal, and you're like, you finally wake up and you change your face, but you don't actually change your face. She kills the nurse and the doctor you're working on, that are working for, not for you, but taking care of you in the hospital. And then all of a sudden you fall over, doctor gets killed, then she like picks you up, and then all of a sudden a patient out of nowhere with a wrapped face jumps and attacks her. He gets stabbed, he's down, and then he lights her on fire somehow, and then lights her more on fire by throwing like a chemical reagent at her, and then she flies through the window, and I'm like, okay. So he gives me some drugs randomly to help Snake get up. and walk. So he just basically, it seems like he left and he's waiting at the door telling me, like, move faster, while my character's sitting crawling. I'm like, you know what would happen if I would move faster? If you literally picked me up, you motherfucker. But no, I have to crawl this whole way and stare at the back of his bare ass because he's in one of those hospital gowns. So I'm seeing his bare ass crack as I walk to this, and he's like, oh, let's take the stairs. Oh, let's take the stairs for the person that's crawling. With his, just crawling, can't walk. Yeah, let's take the stairs. Brilliant idea, dude. I don't even know your name. But then he says, let's take the elevator. Then all of a sudden, a fucking maniac Satan person pops up out of nowhere with a little kid in a straitjacket, and he explodes portions of the hospital. Then I'm running down the staircase. I get into, yes, yeah. I don't know what is going on with this game. You're just as confused as I am. I hope I'm doing a decent job of explaining it. You run down the staircase. You finally enter this area where there's a bunch of people, like, hoarded up, confused what's going on, and then the tactical team that's coming in trying to kill you surrounds both sides and starts mowing down, like, the people that are in between you, and you get pulled by the masked guy, the guy in, like, a wrapped, like, gauze face, pulled into, like, this one area. Then you're, like, you have to hide under these beds as, like, two SWAT people go through, and then after they pass by and they're confused because they don't know, because you went in there and they don't know where you are. You lay down in these dead bodies, and then all of a sudden, you're laying down and they're walking and they're shooting all the dead bodies to make sure they're dead. Your comrade, for some reason, decides to piss himself because he's so scared. I'm like, oh, great, that's cool. And then the one of the agents notices that somebody's pissed, so he's about to shoot. Then the fucking little random kid that apparently can affect gravity pops up out of nowhere again, and you know what? He calls Satan, and then Satan pops up again, and Satan just destroys all of them as we're running, and we're locked out. And then all of a sudden we shot the water because apparently water affects him, and then he backs away. And then it was fucking nuts.
What the hell are you talking about?
Exactly. This is Metal Gear Solid game that I've never played before. I'm confused out of my mind. I thought I was tripping acid. Oh, another fun. We left the hospital, exited on an ambulance. All of a sudden, we got turned over because a random flaming fire truck landed in the way, so we had to, like, swerve off, and we just, like, crashed. And then some dude in a horse decided to save me, so I hopped on the horse, and then the fucking Satan guy again comes out of nowhere on a flying horse. Like, what is this game? I am so confused. Yeah.
I played one Metal Gear Solid game in my life, Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty, I believe it's called. That game, it's funny, for all the games I've sold in the past, Xbox games, Xbox 360 games, PlayStation games, for some reason I never sold Metal Gear Solid, and I haven't played it since I played it when I was like 8 years old. I don't know what it is why that game's still sitting on my shelf, but it's a shame. I always wanted to play Metal Gear Solid. I never got into it when I should have, I guess. I was too young, but it's unfortunate. And I can see that maybe I made the right decision not to buy the latest games, because what the hell is
crazy.
Happening?
They're fucking nuts. But, I mean, the game plays really well when I'm in the open world area. It's a little obtuse getting from place to place. It's kind of a little bit of a pain. But it's definitely cool, upgrading your stuff, weapons, and you basically a thing called a Fulton, where if you down an enemy, you can just like hit triangle while they're down and sleeping or stunned, and you put a little like parachute on them, and they get sucked up to your mother base. So then they start working for you, and you start leveling up your mother base like with recruits that you get in the field. So random. I sucked up basically a translator, so now I can understand the Russian Soviets that are in Afghanistan talking, so that's kind of cool. And then, so that's basically what you do. You suck them up, you level up portions, so then you can level up more of your devices. So like your R&D department, you can level up more of the Fulton, so then you can suck up larger and larger things, I guess. So I'm still early on. The game plays pretty smoothly, so I do enjoy that. So I don't know what I'm going to hop back to tonight, The Surge or Metal Gear Solid 5, but stay tuned. But yeah, if you guys want me to live stream, make sure you get us to 20 reviews. That'd be great. Then I'll just think about live streaming that shit.
Or me. I can also do it if I get my camera in time.
Exactly. You'll be able to see my well, not see me, but you'll hear my confusion when shit goes off, because apparently I don't know what's I'm done talking about Metal Gear Solid 5 because it's so confusing that I don't even want to confuse anybody out there. Gary, it's time for This Week in Gaming, brought to you by
Oh my god. Kill somebody.
Gatorade, but not really. Gary, what do we have on the slate? What was released way back when this week?
Well, in reality, it's actually brought to you by Moby Games, this whole segment. They actually provide me with the information, not Gatorade, sorry. But yeah, you can sponsor us still if you want. So the first game I found was Battlefield 2, which was released on Windows back in 2005. It was the sequel to Battlefield Vietnam. It featured modern combat, and overall it received positive reviews. Now, what's interesting to me is that the PC score was actually higher than the PS2 and Xbox, the PC receiving a 91% score on Metacritic, while PS2 and Xbox both received 80s. Now, I was trying to figure out why that was the case, but I really couldn't find a definite answer. I mean, it's been a little while since this game was popular.
Let us all down.
Yeah, apparently. I mean, I don't even want to take a stab at it. I'll sound like a jackass. So the second game that I found that came out this week, again, kind of a wild card game. I kind of just found this. I was like, what the hell? Let's talk about it. NFL Head Coach, released on Xbox, PS2, and Windows back in 2006. Now, this is from Wikipedia. This is about the game's plot that apparently takes place. So the game begins the week after Super Bowl 40, when the Pittsburgh Steelers pull off a 21-10 victory over the Seattle Blackhawks. See, I'm thinking about hockey now. Seattle Seahawks. The coach that the player is about to take control of was formerly the offensive/defensive coordinator for the Steelers and is now ready to move up to take the reins of an entire team. Now, of course, you take the reins of any team you want to, and then your success is ultimately determined by playoff appearances, championships, draft performance, and more. Now, I didn't know how this game actually did in terms of reviews. I kind of thought these games typically don't fare well, but apparently it was actually pretty solid. It was rated like around a 70%, I guess, on Metacritic. The only thing it was knocked for, or the things that it was knocked for, were the lackluster graphics, the bland commentary when compared to the Madden games, but it was also praised for its great engine and its musical score. Curiously enough, apparently it had a badass soundtrack going on in that game. So that is ultimately it for This Week in Gaming. Kept it short and sweet. Try to delve deeper into these games. I'll have to figure out what the hell was wrong with Battlefield 2 on consoles, but I'll figure that out later on. So
tweet us
Adam,
at 2JerseyKids if you know the answer.
Indeed. Enlighten me. But anyway, Adam, take the wheel. Take us to the news.
It's time to get into the news. Apparently, Sega wants to turn its classic catalog into the, quote, Netflix of retro gaming. Nick Statt over at The Verge writes, Sega Forever is the new banner with which the publisher will reissue games from its back catalog on iOS and Android, starting with 5 titles to be released tomorrow in the US. A new title every 2 weeks after that, and every game will start out free, with players having the option to turn off advertising forever with a $1.99 in-app purchase. The first 5 Sega Forever games are Genesis titles Sonic the Hedgehog, Comics Zone, Altered Beats, Kid Chameleon, and Phantasy Star 2. Mike Evans, the Sega's chief marketing officer and development lead on Sega Forever, says, quote, I've got 2 decades worth of classic gaming content, everything as far back as the SG-1000, Mark I through the Master System, Game Gear, Genesis, Saturn, and Dreamcast. Beyond the difficulties, so I just want to get into this because normally I read through the whole articles. If you've been here on listening to 2 Jersey Kids for the past weeks upon weeks, I normally read through the full articles, and I finally went back and listened to our episodes, and I feel like sometimes they go too long, so now I'm going to try to bullet point them so it makes more sense. Just, streamline it so you get more of us jackasses spewing our genius ideas instead of me just reading off words on a page. But there's been difficulties, Evans talks about the difficulties of emulation, and they will prioritize which games bring to Sega Forever, partly using community feedback. Quote, we're going to look to take requests from the community. We'll say, here is a list of titles we have, and we'll say, what will you like to see next? Sometimes it will be tied to a historical event. We've hired some new community managers to handle this as well. My firm belief is you're going to do this and try to create something for the community. You have to involve the community, and he wants this to be the Netflix of retro gaming. I hope that was somewhat streamlined. It's been sorry. But yeah, Gary, your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I really like the community involvement that he has here, where they're letting the gamers finally decide what games they want to see. Mm-hmm. I really like this idea, the Sega Forever idea. But the only thing I'm a little curious about is the fact that it's kind of going on mobile first, and I'm not entirely a fan of mobile. I mean, I feel like a lot of serious gamers aren't mobile fans, but that's just to each his own, I guess. But I'm hoping that going forward, I hope we see Sega Forever on like consoles and PC sooner rather than later, because I feel like that's where you're going to see like a lot of people really into this sort of thing. Yeah. So that's just my 2 cents.
I don't think the mobile market is really conducive for bringing these old school titles back. I mean, one, it's touchscreen, so I don't think, unless you buy one of those fancy controllers for your phone, which I don't think many people do. If you're that hardcore into gaming, I feel like you're playing on a PC or PS4 or Xbox One or Switch. I don't think you're playing mobile games for the hardcore aspect of playing old, like, Sonic games or Phantasy Star 2. I do think it's great, their idea of bringing stuff back. It's kind of reminding of what Nintendo wants to do now with their Nintendo Switch Virtual Console and their online service, is now you'll be able to play a whole slew of old Nintendo games and old Nintendo properties. So, I mean, I feel like that's a good idea, and, you know, bringing it to the newer audience is definitely a benefit to, to Sega. Maybe it'll help bring back the Sega revival, so to speak. I remember we were talking about that a while ago. Who knows if Sega will be revived? It kind of died after the console wars between Nintendo and Sega because, you know, Sega put out kind of crap games. To be honest, they weren't that great. I mean, I've always been a believer that I don't think Sonic is all that too great.
See, no, that's the thing. That's the weird thing for about this whole thing. So back in the day, okay, I used to play this Sonic the Hedgehog on the way home from school on the bus with a friend of mine that I'm not really going to mention. But him and I used to play this game like every day on the way home from school, and it was just such a good time. I really enjoyed that game. I actually ended up buying it later on for my Game Boy Advance SP. How were you playing it on the bus?
Where were you playing it on?
Game Boy Advance SP. I mean, they had
Sonic on there? Shit.
Yeah, I'm almost positive. Yeah. Shit. I mean, yeah, definitely did, because I remember playing it. But yeah, I used to love that game, play the hell out of it. I don't know, it was just something struck me about that game, and I just really enjoyed it.
I had it for when I had the Sega Saturn, that god awful console that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't make that decision, but I did have the Sega collection, or not Sega collection, like the Sonic, where it gave 1, 2, and 3. And I liked. Maybe it was just because I was young then, but no. When it comes to platforms, 2D stuff, I like things to go a little slower, more methodical and it's not. I don't want to go fast all the time, to be honest. And I don't want the levels to play me. I want to play the levels. You know what I mean?
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I guess it's just a style preference, really.
Yeah. I guess so. Moving on. Apparently, Atari is making a new console. Did you hear that, Gary? Atari is going to be making a new console. I
did, and it's curious.
The only detail CEO Fred Trenassi gave to GamesBeat in an interview was to say that Atari box is based on PC technology. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't understand where they're going to fit in the console space. Do they plan on becoming like, I know we talked about it before and you haven't mentioned here, is it going to be like a throwback console? Or is it going to be trying to weirdly enter the PS4 and Xbox space, which I think me and you are in agreement on that would be very bad.
Yeah, I think anything's possible. Anybody that says, oh, well, this, Microsoft and Sony, they can't fail. Believe me, it can happen. But I don't think Atari is really going to make a console that's going to challenge either of the companies anytime soon. I think that Sony and Microsoft have a really good foothold on the industry. But like you said, I think the throwback console is probably the way to go. I'm sure they have a lot of popular games that people have been wanting to play for years. And I think they probably can still play them now somehow. I mean, I'm not really a big Atari guy. I think I played it back when I was like 6 years old over at my grandparents' house in Philadelphia. A long time ago. I played soccer, I think it was. Something like that. But, I think it's more of a... What's up?
My question is, but would people be craving, an old Atari classic console? It seems strange. Like, I don't know. I don't know, like, none of the games, I don't hear many people mentioning games from that era, so to speak, of games you want to go back to and play. Like, no one's saying, like, oh, yeah, I want to play single-player Pong and just watch the ball bounce back and forth. You know, there's better game versions of that nowadays, so maybe it's just for, you know, nostalgia, so to speak, or I don't understand why would people want to go back and play these games? Because I personally don't understand it. I understand the NES portion, because that when you go back and look at NES games or SNES games, they actually are games. Like, they seem like they're rendered sprites, and they're beautiful looking in their old 8-bit or 16-bit era. But Atari just looks... the Atari games always look a little strange to me, so I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think it's kind of like it's very specific. I think this console, or whatever it ends up being, is like a really specific. It's going to be for a very specific demographic, or like a niche market. But I feel like they're also trying to bring this to people that haven't maybe experienced those games too, which I think, like you said, might be a little hard to do, because a lot of kids. I mean, I'm not personally interested in Atari, and you know for a fact that a lot of younger kids, or kids younger than us, probably aren't going to be interested in it either. They're very much a fan of how great games look today, and how, you know, this, you know, our style of games today. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with this. I'm not really too positive on it yet.
So let's go into the hypothetical thought bubble here, Gary. We're going hypothetical now.
Okay.
So say if Atari does want to hop into, you know, the console space that is now, what do you think? I'm just throwing a random thought at you, keeping you on your toes. What do you think they have to do to, you know, garner like fan support, or garner, you know, it being a sales, you know, it actually producing sales wise and not being just, you know, a flop?
It's going to be really tough. I mean, you could say they could offer a really good online service, but I think Microsoft already has that in the bag. They could, however, beat out Sony, because we already know the problems with their online system. I think it's all going to come down to games again, because ultimately the console, you know, PlayStation is PlayStation, but it has like great, you know, IPs that people want to buy and want to buy a PlayStation for, you know, for that reason. So I think that with Atari, it would just come down to the games ultimately. And, you know, obviously, you know, the online service would be big and stuff like that, but you need a reason for people to buy the console, and that is ultimately the games. So
yeah,
that's just, I mean, it's kind of like I guess maybe a cop out, but that's the only thing I can really think of that could attract people to Atari at this point.
I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of things racing in my mind. It's like maybe they try to go the Ouya route. That was a while back, where there was a lot of indie titles that, you know, sort of flopped. Yeah. But I don't know. Atari does have a big. Everyone knows Atari. Like, I was talking to people at my work, and they're like, "Oh, did you see?" Because they know I'm like the video game guy, because I talk or look at video games. But they're like, "Oh, did you see Atari's coming back?" And I was like, "No." So they sort of noticed it before me. So I mean, Atari does still have that namesake, but I don't understand. I can't picture it popping into this space as well as it. Like, I don't. Maybe way back it could have popped into this space when there was that gap where Microsoft hopped in, but I don't know. I don't see how they could. Maybe they try to compete with the Switch and make another handheld. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they try to do like I don't know, in between the previous generation and this generation, and just making a cheaper console that can still run these games, but it's a lot cheaper for people to purchase, and maybe it's like a $99 thing. I don't know how they could do it. I don't know how they would hop in this space, and that's why it leads me to believe that they're going the classic route and, you know, showing off old games, but I don't know. Maybe it would be cool if it's like kind of like going back to my Xbox Steam box conspiracy, maybe it's like a Steam box where it looks like an Atari system, but it's actually just like a Steam box and you can access Steam from it. That'd be kind of cool.
Still trying to get that idea to work. Still trying to. Still trying to. But I mean, honestly, though, I think that it would take a monumental effort to take people away from Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo, for that matter. So I don't see the whole competing with the big three companies as a feasible strategy at this point.
Yeah, it seems like they have a good lockdown on that space, to be honest. But moving on, Square Enix apparently blames Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood connection issues on DDoS attacks. Square Enix recently released the hotly anticipated Stormblood expansion for the MMO Final Fantasy XIV, but its launch was marred by connection issues that prevented players from getting stuck in. I don't know what that means. Final Fantasy blog post, they write to respond to this issue, quote, "We have confirmed that since June 16th, we have been experiencing DDoS attacks from an anonymous third party targeting the Final Fantasy XIV game servers on the North America data center." Thoughts, Gary?
First thing, I hate DDoSers, but what's interesting to me is that when looking at the comments section,
yeah, I saw this too.
There are some people that may be wearing tinfoil hats. I cannot confirm, but they're saying that these DDoS attacks actually aren't existing, but they're basically like an excuse by Square Enix to cover up their lackluster infrastructure that they built in the game, and that they're saying that basically their servers just can't handle the load of what is needed. It's something to think about.
I saw a snarky comment. It's like someone's like, "Oh my goodness, the servers spiked when they released an expansion and their servers went down." No way.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just feel like there's always people out there. There's unfortunately a good number of people out there that want to just ruin people's good time, especially when new games are releasing. Or I remember the holiday season I think it was a couple of years ago. It was like the night before Christmas, like Christmas Eve, and I remember my brother-in-law Gavin and I were like, "Oh man, we're going to be up. We're going to stay up. We're going to play games," because we were living together at that time, and we were going to play Destiny or whatever until God knows when. And of course, that night, guess what happens? We can't play because DDoSers, Lizard Squad, had suddenly decided to just take down the entire PSN. Of course, the outage on PSN lasted longer than on Microsoft or Xbox One. Go figure. But
not really.
Yeah, I hate DDoSers. In case you haven't realized already, people. Sorry, I just can't stand them. Terrible people.
Yeah, just if this is a DDoS attack, which it could be, I just don't understand why people do this. Why they just want to just fuck with people, because it's not really hacking. I know I've mentioned this before on the show.
It's skillless. It's
skillless. It's very just flooding a server and just making ruins people's day. It's also interesting to see how some people react to different companies getting attacked. Like Square Enix, it seemed like a lot of people are believing, oh, it's just because they're just lying. But if this was like, say, I don't know, CD Projekt Red,
yes, I was just gonna say that
people would go absolutely apeshit. Like, how dare they DDoS this? They would take it just absolutely 100% truth. It's the word of God when CD Projekt Red says something to the internet hive mind. But then when it's like Square Enix or EA, they're like, fuck these guys because they can't do their fucking job.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. I'm so happy you said that. Oh my God.
We're on the same wavelength here, Gary. That's why we have a podcast together. And if you guys didn't know, it's Two Jersey Kids, and you can follow us on Twitter at Two Jersey Kids. Yeah.
Do it.
Moving on. IO Interactive was released from Square Enix when you weren't sure what was going on with Hitman, but I think they obtained the title, and we may have talked about it last week. But now you can play the entire Hitman location, the first Hitman location, for free on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. If you wanted to know the beginning, the first mission constitutes everything from in the first location. 2 story missions, 2 escalation contracts, and more than 40 challenges, and 17 achievement trophies. IO boss Hakan Abrak says, quote, "I'm proud to announce that our first hello as an independent studio is to invite all gamers to play the beginning of Hitman for free. There's a lot of love out there for Hitman, and with this offering, we hope that many more will fall in love with the game. We believe that this is Hitman at its best, so jump in and give it a try." I don't know about you, Gary, but I feel like this is a good first step, especially because now they're kind of independent, and also a lot of people did love Hitman, so this is a good step for people to hop into the game. You have something you want to say, Gary?
Yes, actually a question. Now, for someone that isn't a Hitman connoisseur, I know you've played the game, I know you enjoy it. What are your favorite elements of the game that would get me into, say buying it for the PC, for example?
It is on Steam sale. You can get the whole thing for like $22. Honestly, I played the last one. I forget what it's called, but it was really fun because you can attack the mission in so many different ways, and you're a hitman, so you murdering someone is not really frowned upon, unlike other spy games where you're trying to be the good guy. Hitman, you're just trying to get to the target and take them out. But the cool thing about this is there's so many ways you can do it. You take out people, you then put on their disguise, and you can walk around into other areas. And and like it's just random things that you can do in the mission. I'm watching people play. It's kind of funny. You could chuck fire extinguishers at people's heads and they drop dead. And I don't know, it's just a lot of goofiness that can happen in this game and ways to attack each level and doing different challenges. And I know a lot of people like this Hitman is because they did random challenges where they only lasted for a certain amount of hours to get like a certain skin or something special, and then people would hop in and try to attack, or they would get one chance at taking out this target, and if they screwed it up, then that's it. So they did like real cool community events as well. So that's what I liked about Hitman playing it, is that there's a lot of different ways you can attack a mission, and it's just sometimes it can be really ridiculous of what costume you're in as you're taking out like your target. It's pretty funny.
That's cool. That's like, I mean, this is kind of like off the wall, but it's something that I feel like this type of game is something that like Elder Scrolls could learn from, because especially like the Dark Brotherhood, for example. Remember how we used to talk about how, at least in Skyrim anyway, like some of the quests seemed like kind of just go here, do that, go here, do that, go here, do that. Like Dark Brotherhood is an assassin's guild. I feel like they could learn from this kind of creative quest structure where you can do things in a variety of different ways, because I feel like in the latest version of that game, it just didn't, I don't know, it just didn't seem to have that creativity level that the previous games had. But that's just a side note. But it sounds like a cool game. I'll have to check that out though.
It really is, and I think it doesn't baby you at all. So like it can be very difficult to get through these missions. So you have to be. I mean, it treats you like you're an actual gamer. Like, I know ridiculous things can happen. You're like dressed up in like a chef outfit, or so to speak, or just like you're a random mechanic or something. You can dress up as like I think in this one there's a level where you can dress up as like a sheik, like one of the like just wearing this garbs, a bald white man just dressed up as a sheik, obviously. But they just take it as like straightforward. It's that ridiculous. But yeah. I just think it doesn't baby you, and it's a good stealth game. So if you're into stealth, has some action to it with the gunplay and everything. I just think it plays well. So yeah, I would say check out the Hitman series. It has good ones in it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'll have to do it.
Moving on. Apparently, the Uncharted series is likely to continue after Lost Legacy, says someone at Naughty Dog. Speaking of Eurogamer, Uncharted Lost Legacy creative director and writer Sean Esskay said that, quote, "To say the Uncharted world is done, I doubt that highly," end quote. He continues saying, quote, "I wouldn't say it's the end. The Steven world is huge, so there's many characters. Even before we settled on Lost Legacy story, we were exploring Sullivan, we were exploring Cutter, and pairing each other up, thinking what would be right, and what would have conflict, growth, something new, something fresh, and Chloe was the one that kept jumping out." So, I mean, we mentioned this at E3, I think one of our E3 episodes, how I feel like this is Naughty Dog's, dipping its toe into, continuing the franchise with different characters. Maybe it's Naughty Dog doing it, maybe it's Naughty Dog taking the reins on this one, and then Sony shells out the license to another first party to create more Uncharteds in the future. I know it doesn't sound positive, but maybe they want to give some first parties a chance that just haven't had that chance just quite yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really a big fan of them going that route. I mean, if it were to happen, it is what it is, but I just feel like Uncharted is such a staple of Naughty Dog. It isn't just like one game they made that like didn't turn out the way they wanted it to, and now they're dumping it on someone else. Like, I feel like they really just, this is like their series, and I feel like if they dished it off on somebody else, it wouldn't be Uncharted anymore. It'd be some other company's take on Uncharted, and I just wouldn't be a fan of that. But
wouldn't that be a good thing? It adds something fresh to it now, because I would think Naughty Dog, after multiple years of making years of not the same game, but your same characters, same type of action, same a lot of things. I know they add things in different story elements, but you think they would want to make a new IP? Like, now that they had The Last of Us, do you think they would, or maybe they move on after part 2 and make a new IP from The Last of Us and continue Uncharted with different stories being told and different characters?
I mean, they certainly could do that. I also think that they could take maybe a couple years off, a few years off even. I know I was thinking before that with this series, they can go in different directions besides exploring existing characters like Sully and Cutter. But I was thinking personally that they could maybe develop a storyline around Nathan Drake's daughter, Cassie Drake. I feel like that'd be a equally likely route to go, and in terms of continuing, I guess, Nathan Drake's story and family line. It'd be interesting to see how that would work out. But I mean, Uncharted, any game can get stale, and I feel like if they want to, they can just take some years off, let it sit for a little bit, and then get back into it later on. Maybe create a new IP, like you're saying, create a new experience, but eventually get back to Uncharted.
I mean, once The Lost Legacy comes out, I think Naughty Dog's going to stay quiet until Last of Us Part 2 comes out. I don't know. I feel like it's the best thing to do is cut ties with Nathan Drake. I feel like he's run his course. I feel like Nathan Drake, I know you may hate me, but I feel like you need to promote new characters. I feel like that's where you can tell new stories, and that's why they're going with Chloe. She has some attachment to Nate, but she's not quite the descendant of Nate. I want Uncharted to be able to grow without Nate and develop new characters and
that's valid.
New experiences, and I feel like developing new characters, and then maybe bring Nate back in one last time, one last ride with good old 60-year-old Nathan Drake still climbing up mountains like he's Superman.
No, I wouldn't. Actually, that's the thing. I love Nathan Drake as a character. He's one of my favorite characters of all time, but I wouldn't want to see that, though. I wouldn't want to see Drake come back and kind of just be like, all right, he's back again for his last adventure, and he's 80 years old, everybody.
We promise, guys. We promise.
Yeah. I'm fine leaving.
Sooner or later, it's going to be in the sci-fi realm where Nathan Drake is still alive and just has a bunch of bionic arms and legs and just hopping from spaceship to spaceship because he can breathe in outer space, because why not? Nathan Drake is a fucking superhuman.
Going the Call of Duty route, I see. Interesting.
Yeah, why not? But moving on. Rocket League apparently is now a tournament has been bought by NBC. Stephanie Chan over VentureBeat wrote an article that I'll try to sum up. NBC Universal is already making a big push into mobile games, and now it's launching its first esports tournament for the soccer played with cars game Rocket League in partnership with the EA Sports or esports community platform Face It. NBC Sports Group will broadcast the tournament across all 8 of its regional networks, such as Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area and Comcast Sportsnet New York, as well as in Europe and Telemundo Deportes, NBC's Spanish-language sports channel. Josh Watson, head of the esports at Psyonix, in a press release says, quote, "Our Rocket League esports ecosystem is thriving, and we are excited to expand to the NBC sports audience. Ellipsis. Rocket League is an easy-to-understand game, which makes it perfect introduction to esports for fans of all backgrounds and ages," end quote. NBC's Sports Rocket League tournament will be a 2-on-2 and kick off with online qualifiers on July 22nd, divided into regions that correspond with 8 of the NBC Sports regional networks. NBC will live stream as well as broadcast the grand finals from August 26th and August 27th in the U.S., the U.K., Australia, Germany, and across Latin America. 16 teams will compete in the finals for the prize pool of $100,000. The funny thing is that I was on, previously I was on the Philadelphia Sports Table podcast, which was a Philadelphia sports podcast that I listened to way back, and they brought me on, which was kind of cool. Shout out to them. If you're in Philly or Southern Jersey, go check out their podcast. They're very good. But yeah. I was on there, I was talking about how esports, I feel like it has something going for it, is that it's not the same game over and over and over and over and over again. You can make some tweaks to, NBA or NFL to the rules, but it's going to be the same core principles of the game. Whereas in esports, they had the ability to multiple games come out of nowhere and become esports classics, and then they fade from existence. Example, StarCraft 2 used to be a huge esports with real-time strategy, and now it's switched over to MOBAs. And you also now have Hearthstone as card playing. You have, Call of Duty or Counter-Strike as first-person shooters, and now Overwatch is hopping into that realm. So there's a lot of new avenues for esports to experience, and Rocket League is something easy for people that aren't into esports, but they can come in and understand what this game is. Oh, it's just soccer with cars. Makes sense. And then there's crazy shit going on the screen, and maybe they'll stick with it. 2-on-2 is a little small, but yeah, check it out. Maybe it'll be cool. I don't know. Gary, what are your thoughts?
I think it's amazing to see how far esports has come. It's only been, I guess, over the past 5-10 years, you can see how far it's or how much it's grown. And I'm interested to see how it does in the next like 10, 15 years, to see if it gets its own channel, or if it's more prominent than being on NBC even. But I had to also say that with Rocket League, I played that game I guess about a year ago. I haven't really played it since. It's a fun game, but it's not something that's really something I consistently play. But I have to say it's amazing that a game as simple as it is, cars, a ball, and 2 nets, can be something, like you said, an esports classic. Can be extremely popular. A lot of people play it. I know my brother-in-law, Gavin, and Ben play it all the time. It's fascinating. It shows you that you don't need anything crazy, but it can be successful.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like one of the main things that Rocket League has going for itself is that the developers listen to their community, and they add things that, they add new spices to the game. Make it spicy.
Imagine that. Imagine listening to your community. Whew,
yeah, it does work out.
It's so hard to do.
Yeah, it does work out in the end. That's why, CD Projekt Red becomes the gods of the internet gaming community. Moving on.
True.
Article, I'm going to sum up an article written by Ron Whitaker of the Escapist magazine. Twitch has struck a deal to stream Blizzard's tournaments through 2018, as well as giving free Blizzard loot to Twitch Prime subscribers. The two companies announced a deal today that makes Twitch the exclusive third-party streaming platform for Blizzard's tournaments through 2018. That means that that's all, folks. That means that the Hearthstone Championship Tour, Hearthstone Global Games, Hearthstone The Storm Global Championship, StarCraft 2 World Championship Series, World of Warcraft Arena Championship, Overwatch Apex League, and the Overwatch Premier Series will all be streaming exclusively on Twitch. In addition, the streaming deal, Twitch is also adding Twitch Prime loot for Blizzard games. From now through August 10th, all new and existing Twitch Prime members will get a free golden loot box for Overwatch that contains a guaranteed legendary item and 3 additional items. Twitch COO Kevin Lynn said of the deal, quote, "We found Twitch as a gaming platform heavily based on our community's reaction to games like Blizzard's StarCraft 2. Since then, our large but tight-knit community are constantly evolving suite of interactive features and a native emote-driven chat language celebrated by users enable us to support and grow Blizzard esports in a manner that best serves our collective fans." End quote. Gary, give me your thoughts.
Well, first of all, Twitch is like just the thing now. I feel like I've heard of other streaming services, and like you hear about Mixer, for example. I think that's relatively popular, but it's amazing to see, how far Twitch has come. Like we were just talking about esports. Twitch is also now like a major player in the gaming industry. And I remember I was watching a stream the other day. It was a Destiny stream, and it had a streamer called Gathalion. He has a couple 100,000 followers. I don't even know. He's got like a legitimate business working right now with streaming. And they were talking about like other upstart streaming services and how they'll just never be able to compete with Twitch, which I sort of disagree with. I think that anything is possible, like I was saying before, but it's just I think it's very interesting to see how far Twitch has come, and I want to see in the future if they'll have like a Twitch channel, if that would happen. I think that'd be kind of cool too, instead of just having to always go on your phone or your desktop.
I could definitely see it starting to happen. I don't know about Twitch channel, but I feel like I could see it now more as Twitch becomes more of a, just kind of like TV, but, for the internet.
Yeah.
I could definitely see that happening. And also Twitch has Amazon's backing, so it makes sense that these things are happening. And we mentioned in a few episodes way back is that, now influencers can actually sell games through the Twitch interface, I guess you could say. So it's just Twitch is expanding and adding new things because I guess they just want to stay relevant. You don't want to, become stagnant and then Twitch, it dies. That happens all the time in this industry. Competition, you have to, you sink or swim. But I know I really want them to fix some of the playback issues that I have when I play Twitch streams. Sometimes it's it just buffers constantly. It doesn't work ever. So, I feel like they still have issues that they need to fix out. But they have Amazon money, so they'll be fixed eventually.
Very true.
Moving on. Final thing that I saw at the end of the day before we started recording is Skull and Bones, the Ubisoft game, will apparently have a story campaign. Speaking to PC Gamer and Ubisoft representative, I can't speak right now. You know what? I'm gonna start that over. start that over. I'm gonna slow down. I'm gonna calm. Take a breather. We'll be okay, Adam. Speaking to PC Gamer, an Ubisoft representative said the game, quote, will offer a narrative campaign which will be integrated into the game and will not be something aside of the multiplayer experience. In this campaign, players will encounter iconic characters and memorable rival pirates. More details will be shared at a later date, end quote. Gary, I kind of... a lot of people, I remember when E3 was happening, a lot of people were mentioning this game, how it was kind of cool, especially the PvP aspect of it, where it was 3 or 5 pirate ships doing different classes and attacking each other, trying to get the most loot at the end of the mission. I just want to get your thoughts on pirate games in general, or gameplay that involves a boat and water. I want to get your thoughts. What are your thoughts?
Well, I can kind of take or leave pirate-themed games, to be honest. I personally enjoyed, or really loved, Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I really enjoyed that game, the whole atmosphere of it. I actually enjoyed the naval combat, believe it or not. I felt like once I got my ship upgraded far enough and I could fight other, ships consistently, I thought it was kind of a fun game mechanic they had in there. So, and I thought it was well done. But on the other hand, for me, pirate games, if they cease to exist right now and I never played one again, it wouldn't affect me whatsoever. So it's whatever. Pirate games are just... It's not like a setting I'm entirely interested in, to be honest.
Yeah, if they become the next zombie game, I'm going to freak. Because you see Sea of Thieves now, which is a different take on the pirates, where you have a crew of just one ship, and they're doing different things and going exploring treasure, and I know a lot of people were excited about that. Me, I don't understand the excitement over pirate games or a boat in water. I don't get it. I mean, I played Assassin's Creed Black Flag. I thought the gameplay mechanic of you in a boat was kind of cool. It still annoyed the crap out of me when I had to hop in the boat to travel anywhere, because I'd rather be on land. It seems like it controls better on land. Any gameplay mechanics that involve a boat or doing anything with a boat and pirates annoy the shit out of me. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit at all. And so, yeah, that's just me personally. No matter how great it will play, it will not resonate with me. I just don't like it.
Well, I basically kicks the shit out of anything I was going to say, because I was going to be like, oh, well, if the game's designed well, it'd be fine. But now you're like, you know what? Fuck it. I hate games that are designed well when they're themed with pirates.
Exactly.
So you know what? The hell with it.
I have a hatred for pirates. I don't know what it is about it. I was thinking about writing a blog post about it. I just don't know why some people have this affinity for pirates. There's been a renaissance. I think it's ever since the first Pirates of the Caribbean, or however you want to fucking say it, because I don't give a shit whichever way you want to say it. But that movie and Captain Jack Sparrow, and then people started to become in love with this anti-hero thought of pirates. No, pirates were dicks. They don't need to be revered at all. They were dicks. They would steal, they would pillage, and they would probably rape. So they suck. So don't like pirates. And I don't like
pirates still exist.
Games. Yeah, they do still exist. And I don't like
and they still suck.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't like video games that are related to pirates. They could all, die off with the rest of their breed way back in the 1800s, 1900s area. Shut up, Gary!
Okay. I think you've sufficiently explained that one. That point.
Yeah, sorry. I got a little fired up. I just don't get it.
I didn't know pirates would be the one thing that really got you going, but who the fuck knew? I don't know. I'm learning something about you every day.
I hate them. But I'm sure one game will come in the future when we're gigantic and somebody will play this clip. It's like, oh, I thought you fucking hated pirates, but now you're liking this game. That's not going to happen, I promise. But Gary, before we end this podcast, we would go into for about 54-ish minutes. I just want to see what are you going to be doing for over the weekend, rest of the weekend? You excited, or what are you going to be doing for your birthday? You doing anything fun?
I don't really do too much for my birthday normally. I mean, might go out to dinner at some point in the next couple days or so when everybody's available. But I mean, honestly, the thing I'm going to be doing this weekend is finally building this computer. Yeah. I'm getting my last remaining pieces in tomorrow. I think I get my mouse pad in on Saturday, but I can always put something down for that, for Christ's sake. But yeah, I'm getting. I
picture you be sitting at your desktop completely just complete with monitor and keyboard, and you have your mouse all set up, and you're just like, I don't know how to fucking do this. There's no mouse pad. I can't do this shit.
It's a gaming mouse pad, damn it. It's bigger than usual, but bigger the better. Well, maybe. But I'm going to be putting together my computer. I have the heat sink, which is finally going to be, put on my CPU or whatever. But I'm so excited to get involved in that, and I'll be providing pictures on Twitter at real Scavenger 18. It's the real Scavenger 18. So you'll be updated with that and my adventure and my finally getting this thing up and running. So I just can't wait to do that this weekend. But Adam, what are you going to be up to?
Well, first,
in your exciting life?
I'm glad you're going to be documenting it because I want to see it on Twitter when I'm out.
Damn right.
I'm going to be moving some furniture. What are you going to say, Gary?
I was just going to say, too, I have to get a camera because I have to talk to Adam during this podcast. I need to see him physically. I mean, I don't have to, but I would like to.
He wants to see my beautiful face. It gives him comfort when we record.
Exactly. So I'll get a camera, and then maybe at some point I'll be streaming some gameplay. So it's all happening, guys. It's all coming together.
Oh, it's
the real
all
Scavenger 18 brand. It's happening.
Gary, you just said the real Scavenger 18 brand? It needs to be two Jersey Kids. Jesus Christ. God damn it. You're already leaving me in the dust.
We're all going to have our own brand eventually, let's be honest. We'll have the two Jersey Kids brand, and then we'll both have our branch offs, our own personal lines. See, it's going to happen.
He's trying to dig himself out of the hole, which you just keep digging farther and farther down, Gary.
Not really, but yeah.
I already feel betrayed. I already feel like you stabbed me in the back in this hypothetical situation where you become a gigantic Twitch streamer and then you just leave two Jersey Kids in the dust, and all the beautiful Jersey Kids fans are just out there crying because you just left and backstabbed them all at once.
Two Jersey Kids for life, man. Two Jersey Kids for life. That's
what I wanted to hear, but you're still in the hole. I'm sorry to say. But yeah, this weekend I will be moving some furniture of my girlfriend's because her lease. Not girlfriend, fiance, Marta, because her lease is up, so she's going to be coming to my place for a bit, and then we're going to be moving to our new place, which will be exciting. So, Gary, in a few weeks, you'll be seeing a different background when you're recording with me, so that'll be exciting. I'm not sure what the setup is going to be. I'm not sure how much of a pain in the butt it's going to be, but I think I'm going to hire movers because I moved from Virginia Beach up here, and Jesus, those movers go by like that. They just go quickly. I had 4 movers come into my apartment. And I thought it was going to take a little while because there's desks and TVs and all this shit. They had to pack up other things too that I forgot to pack. And I was just doing something. I was cleaning around my apartment to make sure it was clean before I left. Next thing I know, it's 45 minutes later. I look up, everything's gone. I'm like, shit, and they're getting the final thing out. I'm like, holy crap! How did this happen?
It's worth it. It really is. I've had to move my sister out of her apartment a few years ago, and it was hell. It was just so annoying.
I think it's just they know what they're doing. They're so good. They've done it constantly that they just... Yeah. So if you have the chance to hire movers, I highly recommend it. Especially if you're like me, you're going to be moving to some place that's not even that far. Most of the expense when it comes to movers is the driving that they have to do. Is if you're going from one place to another that's multiple hours away, the cost is just them being in the car and nothing else. It's if you're driving another 30 minutes away, it's not really that crazy of a expense. Comparatively, I guess you could say. So yeah, that'll be what I'll be doing. Maybe later tonight, maybe I'll be playing some Metal Gear Solid 5, or maybe some of the Surge. Maybe I'll try to beat it, even though I don't think I'll get that far because of the Surge. It takes a little while to finally get to the boss on the main level, and I just got to that level. So we'll see how it goes. So Gary, you have anything to say before we roll on out?
Like I said, I'll be updating you guys this weekend with my PC adventure. But other than that, I will see you guys on Tuesday for our Tuesday episode. Excited? Yeah. Excited to be back again on Tuesday, but I'll see you guys then. Adios.
You just keep talking when I'm trying to do the outro, man. It's not like I just asked you to say something before I could go. But yeah. Thank you guys so much for being here. We love you so much. We just hit 2,000 for the month of June, which is exciting stuff. We're still moving up, trending in the upward direction. I think we'll still be in the upward direction if you discount the whole random Destiny explosion episode way back last month. But yeah. So we hope to keep growing with all you beautiful Jersey kids out there, and we appreciate all your support. And when you tweet us at our personal accounts or the Two Jersey Kids account. We love interacting with you. We love, talking to you about video games. It's a blast to me, honestly. And keep supporting us, please. If you do have the time and the energy to go rate us on iTunes, because I know it can be a hassle sometimes when you're on your phone and you want to rate us. If you're listening to us right now on your Apple phone, if you have an Apple phone, if you have an Android, rate us on Stitcher. You can't really do that. You have to go on the web page itself. But if you have an Apple phone and you're on the podcast app itself, you have to actually go search us, and then search Two Jersey Kids, and then go to ratings and write a review. I know a lot of times with the link that I post, or Gary and I post on Twitter, most of the time when we're asking for reviews, it takes you right, if you're on your phone itself, it takes you right to the review page, where if you're on your computer, it just takes you to the normal Two Jersey Kids page on iTunes. So yeah, I mean, that's a basic synopsis that I could give of rating us. It would be very appreciative if you can do that. It would help us out a lot. Gain more following. Maybe more people want to listen to our stupid asses. Who knows? But yeah, we appreciate you all so much. We'll see you on Tuesday. Keep playing those games. Have a great weekend. Bye. Gary, say bye.
Peace.
Bye.